We're looking now to become more aggressive in the growth pipeline for the company. So as these projects go into development, there will be a series of initiatives that will follow suit as we take advantage of our first mover position.
Hi and welcome to the Assay TV. We are here at 1-to-1 Mining Investment Cape Town, and I'm very pleased to be joined here by Harry Anagnostaras Adams, who is the Executive Chairman of KEFI Gold and Copper. Thanks so much for joining us today, Harry.
Well, thank you for the invitation.
Great. So just for our viewers who are unfamiliar, perhaps you could get us started with a brief overview of KEFI and its key projects.
Well, KEFI entered the so-called Arabian-Nubian Shield, geology which is similar on both sides of the Red Sea, similar to where I grew up in Australia, where most of the mineral developments have been. So we've been focused for 15 years to get into that territory, to conduct exploration with a view to development. We now have a development pipeline of 3 assets, 1 shovel ready in Ethiopia, 2 coming along behind that in Saudi Arabia. Our strategy is Arabian-Nubian Shield, responsible, sensible developer to the very highest standards, having been an entrepreneurial and successful discoverer, and a good local partner for local financial investors and development banks. And we've achieved all those things, and now we're about to go into development.
Excellent, thanks so much for that. And I understand you recently announced a financing package for your Tulu Kapi project. Could you give us a bit more insight into that?
Well, the project is $320 million, excluding the mining fleet that the contractor brings to the table. And of that $320 million, African development banks, TDB and AFC, have worked with us for many years and worked through the trials and tribulations of the country, are now ready to go. And the lead bank, which is TDB, has given final credit committee approval, and AFC has triggered its process now on the back of TDB. And local equity interests, subsidiaries of multinationals who've been in the country decades, are putting up the bulk of the equity risk capital. And as it stands today, we've covered the whole $320 million package down inside Ethiopia from Ethiopian and African banks and financiers. So that's been a very rewarding process in terms of self-satisfaction, but we look to trigger later this half, and hopefully we'll then provide the rewards for shareholders as well.
Great, thank you, Harry. And you've recently announced a joint venture in Saudi Arabia with another company. So can you explain kind of how your strategic goals align and what the aim is there?
Yeah, well, in Saudi Arabia, we arrived in the country 15 years ago at the invitation of those people, a Fortune 100 family office, a very established, prominent family with lots of investments in the country. And but recently, what we announced is that joint venture of ours has been making a succession of additional discoveries on our first development project, which is another gold asset. I think that we'll be able to get going on the Ethiopian development by the middle of the year, and I think our first development in Saudi Arabia will follow within about 6 months, another gold property. A very good partnership, a long-standing relationship, and it's sort of our style to earn the trust and respect of local stakeholders. These are emerging markets. We don't call it frontier markets for nothing. And having strong local partners and strong development banks, African development banks in Ethiopia, the Saudi Industrial Development Bank in Saudi, that wraps our relationships and projects in the highest level government relationships and protection.
As you mentioned, KEFI operates in Saudi Arabia and Ethiopia. Could you give a bit more info on what those jurisdictions are like to operate in?
Well, when we first went there, we called them frontier markets for mining, and they have proven to be frontier markets for mining. We've had to live through regulatory overhauls in both countries, security issues in both countries, and we are at the front of the industry's takeoff in both countries as a result of all those years of tenacity and focus. But now it's all completely changed in that both countries, particularly Saudi Arabia, are taking off for this sector. And I absolutely guarantee you that Ethiopia is about to do likewise. When the Ethiopians get going on a new sector that they want to back, it really takes off, and that's about to happen with us. And we're the front of the queue. We're the first major development. Our partner is the government. So, we've earned trust, we've earned the relationship, and now we're honoured to be given the opportunity to be the first developer in the country.
Yeah, excellent. It sounds like you're in a really fantastic position.
It's a bit of a, how would I put it? I don't know if you call it a renaissance in a frontier country or what it is, but it's certainly a refreshing change from lots of hard yakka over many, many years, sometimes with no end in sight, and all of a sudden things taking off. It is a very refreshing change for the team.
Great, yeah, I'm so glad to hear. And I know that the company put out its Q4 2023 update, and could you just talk us through how that update kind of aligned with the long-term strategic goals, and whether you're going to be kind of making any changes based on what's been going on?
No fundamental changes. The strategy is as explained up front 15 years ago. I think what we are doing now is actually looking to, whereas we're on the defense for a few years up until 18 months ago, we're looking now to become more aggressive in the growth pipeline for the company. So as these projects go into development, there will be a series of initiatives that will follow suit as we take advantage of our first mover position. So we're looking to get quite ambitious, not just 3 development projects, but a pipeline of other initiatives, and we're already working on that. There's a separate team in each country working on that. So we're getting up a full head of steam to build a very serious mining operation in these countries with local partners, local banks, properly.
Excellent. Sounds like a really exciting time
for
the company. Final kind of thoughts on any particular milestones or news updates that investors should be looking out for over the next few months?
Well, I don't want to speak too soon. Just the milestones that I've just mentioned, if you look at them one by one, you've got 2 development jobs being triggered in 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
There'll be a series of exploration results around those projects and in our pipeline that I referred to during this same year. And financings with local capital surrounding us and wrapping us in their support in the same year. It'll be the culmination of a long time of preparation, many years of preparation coming to a head this year. So there'll be a string of milestones now that the countries have settled down enough for us to get going, giving us a hard time in many ways up until 18 months ago. But that's a thing of the past now.
Excellent. Well, yeah, as I said, sounds like a really exciting time for the company, and we really look forward to hearing more from KEFI when some of these things start to come to fruition.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to explain. Thank you.
Thanks, Harry.